And welcome to the press release, of course. Thank you for tuning in. It's Friday, September the 7th, 2018. Of course, I'm so happy to be here again with you tonight to bring you the news. But of course, if this is your first time tuning in with me tonight, I want to encourage you to stay linked in with me. You can actually do that by heading over to my Facebook page, clicking like, saving it into your favorites, as well as head over to Instagram at the press release for you for all the information that you might need in order to stay linked in with me. And if you do all that, of course, you'll stay informed with news that you need to know about. So tonight I actually have a very special show for you, and I'm going to talk about a few things that, of course, are going to be of interest to you, and I feel like you would totally benefit from. And so when I was actually doing my research for my stories this week, I felt like, learning about, how the ballot is actually under attack right now. Some recent things just developed, and I felt like it was important to let people know what was actually taking place. And so tonight I'm actually going to talk about how the ballot is actually under attack. Well, across the country right now, conservative lawmakers have been ramping up efforts to restrict access to voting. Well, that's no secret, because we've been seeing that play out for eons. But officials have put in place barriers that actually can make it more complicated to register. And let me give you a specific example of that. Now, New Hampshire went so far as to require that students re-register their car before they can actually register to vote. So this is the type of stuff that we're up against. Now, check this out. States have shut down polling places in various communities, creating longer lines and which basically ultimately decreases participation, and specifically in minority Black communities that this is actually taking place. Now, in another worrisome move, Immigration and Customs, also known as ICE, and the Department of Justice actually subpoenaed 8 years of voter registration records and other documents, including completed ballots in North Carolina. Now, the subpoena, of course, covers areas of the state with high populations of people of color and could suppress the vote in those specific areas. So basically, these are the things that we're actually up against. And if you don't believe me, of course, you can head over to the news feed and find out all the information you need to know about specifically to this particular issue. Now, so here is what you should be actually doing to actually try to counteract some of these attacks. Organizing, which is so important, as always, getting people informed, which is another important one, and heading to the ballot box, folks. Is that simple. It's your vote. You have the ability to make the decisions. And see, I get stuck with this a lot of times too, because, I do a lot of constituent services for various issues. A lot of people don't know how their government works. And until you can actually become more informed about how your government works, then it begin to work for you, because the people are in control of what is taking place in our government. You have the power to put these lawmakers into their seats. They work for you. Like, it's not the other way around. So I think people need to get more informed on that specific process. And you can always head over to your General Assembly website to find out how the legislative process works specifically, as well as on a congressional level. And you can also check your municipal websites, your city websites, to see if they have things up there specifically informing people about, how the government works, and, how to make your city council work for you, or how to make your state senator work for you, or how to make your House representative person work for you. That is the most important aspect. And this is an actual critical time right now. A lot of us are seeing how things are playing out over the news. We have President Trump, who's making drastic changes. He's getting out there, get the support behind his Republican nominees for various specific positions that will actually affect us in the long haul. So, family, we need to make sure that we're staying informed on this specific issue, particular issue, especially dealing with the ballot box. We've been under attack for I don't know how long. So many leaders have lost their lives because they sacrificed trying to make sure that we had the rights that we deserve, specifically as colored and minority people, to be able to vote. And so we need to make sure we're continuing that fight, that we stay vigilant, that we stay informed on the things that are taking place. So that's my spiel on the ballot talk tonight, and let you know what is actually newly developed. Oh, and also, last week I actually covered those 6 constitutional amendments that could prospectively been on the ballot because, they were caught up into the court system and stuff. Well, guess what? There are going to be 6 constitutional amendments on the ballot now. And if you don't know what those constitutional amendments are, you can actually hit the playback button on the show from last week to get a listing of that. And I also, just to simplify things a little bit for you, I would actually post something to give you an outline of what those specific constitutional amendments are and what they can mean for you. Should you decide to vote for them or should you decide not to vote for them? So there you go. Now, next up on the press release, I want to talk about student loan debt. Now, your girl, of course, she just started paying back student loans. And I felt like this was a very important topic for so many people. When I was doing my research and everything like that, I found that 70% of students actually graduate with student loan debt. That's a lot of people. And in fact, that's 44 million people. And that's $1.7 trillion worth of debt that actual students have today in the United States. So that's really big. But here's the big kicker right here. Let me tell you about 3 new developments that are taking place and 3 ways that President Trump may actually change student loans. And so here's what you actually need to watch for. Now, number 1, the end of student loan forgiveness. Now, we know that has helped a lot of students with people who have went to medical school, people who have, went through their, educational backgrounds and, getting various different degrees and stuff like that. Student loan forgiveness has helped them. But let me tell you a little bit about it. Student loan forgiveness sounds like a wonderful game plan to many student loan borrowers. And yes, it is, including myself. However, it comes at a cost for taxpayers. Now, under several student loan forgiveness plans through the federal government, for example, borrowers could have their student loans effectively paid by the federal government. But that doesn't entirely sit well with the Trump administration and the U.S. Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, who has repeatedly stated her goal to balance the interests of those student loan borrowers and taxpayers. So, what's the future of student loan forgiveness? Here we go. The future of student loan forgiveness. There's no guarantee that student loan forgiveness will continue in its current form or at all. The Trump administration proposed eliminating public service loan forgiveness, the plan for its 2019 budget. So this is actually right around the corner. But how, of course, my people, how does this affect you and me? Well, here's how. While student loan forgiveness may end, student loan forgiveness may not be worth it to the student loan borrower in the long run. You may be able to pay off student loans faster or refinance student loans to save money, is what they're saying. Now, number 2, this is the second way that President Trump may change student loans. Now, on number 2 is the student loan repayment plans restructuring. Federal student loan repayment plans can be completed. And in fact, in 2016, then candidate Trump proposed to combine the existing federal income-driven repayment plans, such as You Earn, which is abbreviated as PAYE, and the revised plan, Pay As You Earn, which is Repay, in a single plan to make it less confusing for borrowers. But stay tuned for this, because if this proposal actually becomes policy, then that means that student loan repayment plan that you choose can have a major impact on how much interest you pay and how long it takes to repay student loans, and ultimately how much time and money that it will cost you in the long haul. So make sure you understand the difference between student loan consolidation and student loan financing, because that is a big deal. But let me tell you how this affects you. You need an action plan, not just a federal repayment plan to repay your student loans, because I personally am setting up one myself. I'm just like you, no different. Here are 21 ways to crush student loan debt. But what you have to do is you have to head over to my actual feed on the press release to actually find out a little bit more specifically how you can actually find out what those 21 ways to crush student loan debt is. Now, number 3, make sure you make the choice to borrow and repay student loans effectively. That is so important because President Trump wants to increase the role of the private sector, particularly private lenders such as banks and the insurance of federal student loans. Now, of course, President Trump believes that the federal government generates too much profit from issuing student loans and wants private sector lenders to participate in federal loan originations. So again, how did this affect you? Well, you may have more choices when it comes to borrowing student loans, but this can result in more competition and lower rates, which can benefit consumers. And it also means that through student loan refinancing, you can continue to refinance student loans and may receive a lower interest rate. Isn't that important? Yes. So let's make sure you stay in contact with your loan provider and keep up with all the updates and changes that are taking place in your congressional offices. And so, because actually Congress actually just came off of recess. So a lot of these things are going to be decided over the next couple of months before we head over into 2019. So this is a time to contact your congressional representative for whatever your district is. And you can actually look at that up. And I think there's www.usa.gov or something like that. But I'll post that information so that way you can actually find out who your representative is. It's very easy to do that, even on a state office. All you have to do is go to the website, type in your address, and it will tell you who your congressional representative is for your specific district, because it's so important. This is affecting, 44 million people, and that's $1.7 trillion, not billion, but $1 trillion in debt. So yes. Now, next up on the press release, I want to talk about when we all vote, right? That's kind of like a theme. Everybody's going to be talking about that, but it's so important, guys. I can't stress it enough. So when we all vote, just a few days ago, actually today's Friday, it was on Wednesday, I actually was on a call with former First Lady Michelle Obama and a host of others from all over the country talking about the When We All Vote campaign. And I'm actually, former First Lady Michelle Obama is actually a co-chair, and you can actually find that information as well as the link posted on my newsfeed on the press release with Portia to find out specifically what about all the commotion is about in terms of When We All Vote. But specifically for When We All Vote, which is a national campaign from Saturday, September the 22nd to Saturday, September the 29th, When We All Vote will celebrate a week of action. Communities literally all across the country, with the help of volunteers just like you and myself, will host voter registration events throughout the week in cities big and small. So we definitely need to be talking to people about this, because this is a very critical time to get people to register to vote if they have not voted. Register to vote, and to find out if they are registered, because a lot of people are walking around and they don't even know if they are registered to vote, or things like that. So we need to make sure that we use this time specifically for making sure people are prepared and ready for November the 6th. Literally, we don't have that many days left before Election Day. Specifically, I think it's like 60 days as of today, if I'm not mistaken, before Election Day, November the 6th, 2018 ballots. Election Day will be here, but early voting begins in October. So specifically, we need to get prepared. And I think the deadline to actually register people is in October as well. So make sure that you are ready, prepared, getting yourself in line to make sure you cast your ballot for things that are important to you, important to your family, and most importantly, your community. That's a very important thing. We got to think about each other. And so we got to get registered, get fired up, and ready to spread the word. And so that's what your girl is here for. That's what I'm doing. And in fact, in Greenville, Democratic Women of Pitt County will be hosting the When We All Vote event, which is really big because they're going to have a great time. We're going to have a phenomenal time getting people registered to vote. We'll have some refreshments. We'll also have a special message from First Lady Michelle Obama in regards to this event. So you're going to have to stay tuned. Make sure you are paying attention to my news feed. So I'll be posting all that information, any updates, to help you get prepared for the When We All Vote event. And I'm already excited about that. This is like one of the most exciting times for me. I've been in politics for a few years now. And so before I started working on the state level, I was on the grassroots level, literally on the ground, boots on the ground. It doesn't matter what level I get on. Your girl is still going to go there, put the boots on the ground and get prepared and do what I need to do to make my community a better place for everyone. And so, which leads me into my next portion of the Press Release with Portia Brights. This is a special section that we're doing new now. It's called Ask Portia. Yes, Ask Portia, if you missed it last week, is about you being able to interact with me and ask me specific questions that you might need an answer to. And you can actually submit those inbox to me on the Press Release with Portia Bright via Facebook. And I'll get those questions and I'll basically share them just like I'm about to share Martish J from Raleigh. He actually submitted an Ask Portia question. And his question is, Dems are organizing. What can we do as citizens to take action? Well, that's a good question, Martish J. My advice for you and any of your friends and family members is to organize. Right now, we need, in your specific community, we all have one. Everybody's community is a little bit different, but where we can make the most impact is in the places that we are now, the places that you go every day, the places that people are familiar with you, the beauty salon, the barber shop, going to the post office. All it takes is a casual conversation to ask a person if they're registered to vote and if they would like to help you get organized in your specific community. You can have the most impact where you are right now. And so, but people have to take action and realize that their power is in their ability to organize and get people together. And so that's my biggest advice for you. I would also say, make sure you're sharing literature with people. Things that you find out, don't hesitate to, pass that information out in your community. Specifically when we're talking about these constitutional amendments, a lot of people don't know what they are. So this would be the perfect time to you to maybe go over to your neighbor's house and just hand them the information. I guarantee you they'd say thank you because maybe they hadn't gotten in it. And so they'd also make sure that they'd probably think of you in a different way too, because they see that you're looking out for them and that you're bringing them information that's going to change the way their futures are. So I would say organize and inform. Those are my two biggest things that you can actually do. And as for young people in general, and as well as our senior veterans, I would encourage you to use your social media. Your social media is very powerful, of course, because we live in such a technocratic society. Social media has become paramount in terms of marketing and so many other things. And so I would encourage you to use your social media to market that. And I know a lot of times people get tired of chain messages and things like that. But what you can do to make sure you're standing out from like a chain message or anything is to contact that person individually. It's so easy nowadays. You can actually instant message somebody and chat. You can call a person up. You can even video chat. So it's things like that that you can actually do that don't cost money, don't require you to go too many places to do much, but you can actually do what you can while you are where you are, which is important. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. I'm also going to encourage you to submit your Ask Portia, and maybe next week it would be featured on the Press Release with Portia Bright, because I want to hear what you're thinking. Like, other people want to hear what you're thinking. Your questions are great. Just like Martish J, he submitted tonight from Raleigh, North Carolina. And so I have a good time with doing this and spending every Friday with you. And I hopefully, Lord willing, I'll be back next Friday, same time, same place, giving you information you need to know about on the Press Release with Portia Bright. And so there you have it, folks. I'll see you next week. Peace.